I'm going to tell you a dream I just had. And this is a dream where the lesson from the dream, strangely enough, doesn't come from the experience of the dream exactly. It's not like one of those dreams where a series of events happens, and then when you wake up, you can kind of theorize what it means. No, this is a dream where the choices I happened to make in the dream taught me a lesson. Okay, so there's this book series called Spiderwick, and I've been reading it recently, and this is one of them. And I built a Lego set from the book series, although it was based on the movie version, because there's also a movie based on Spiderwick by Nickelodeon. Interesting movie, and there's also a game based on the movie based on the book series for the Wii. That's the one I got, and there's this specific house in the book, and in this house there's a lot of cool stuff. And so I happened to build a Lego set based on the house, and that's all backstory. Okay. In the dream, I was at the Lego store, and it was near closing time, and so I was looking around, because I love, Legos, and I was looking around. This is the house in the book. And so I was looking around a lot. There were a lot of cool Legos, Lego Nightwing from Batman. There were a lot of him, and in the Lego store there's this little area where you can find pieces, and you can put the pieces in the bucket, and then you can buy the bucket full of pieces. And so I was looking around a lot, and the worker was kind of annoyed. My family was also there with me, but the workers were getting annoyed. The workers were talking to my family, being like, "Okay, you gonna get ready to go now? You gonna go?" And I was kind of annoyed at first. And for a while, I was kind of annoyed. I was like, "Bro, I love Legos. Okay, let me look around. I don't think your job even I don't think that the Lego store even closes soon. So why are you getting annoyed at me? Right? Like, it closes in like an hour. Why are you getting annoyed at me for staying extra long? I just want to look around." And so that's the feeling I had. And I was, while I was looking around, I was also like, okay, am I going to buy anything here? Am I going to, what am I going to get? Am I going to get anything? What should I get? What would I like? What do I need? They're Legos. But, what do I need to, build something or something like that? And so I was getting annoyed. I was getting a little bit frustrated, and I was like, frick you. What are you going to do? Kick me out? I'm going to stay, right? I didn't say that, right? But I kind of feeling that, so I was just kind of staying for a while. And then the workers were kind of annoyed at me. So they were like, okay, frick you. And so they started closing things down. And then I kind of made a decision. I was like, okay, I don't have any power here. I'm going to try to fix this. And so I went over to the workers and I said, okay, when does this place end? And they were like, well, it ends in 45 minutes. Ends. When does it close? And in case you don't know, I actually did just wake up. I don't know if there's sleep in my eyes. That's disgusting, bro. That's disgusting. But they were, at that point I was like, okay, can I mend this? Can I fix this relation that I have with this person, with these people? So I was like, okay, you want to go? I understand that. Look, can I look in the big area with all the pieces, grab some pieces, and then leave? Pick a brick is what it's called. Pick a brick, right? Legos, people call Legos bricks. So pick a brick. And so they were like, because at this point, I had been there for a while. It was starting to get later. They were going to close soon at some point. So I was like, okay, let me just grab some pieces and be done with it. And they were kind of relieved. They were like, okay, fine. But they were still a little bit frustrated because they wanted to go, And maybe they were wanting to go a little bit earlier than it actually was closing, but fair enough. So they unlocked the. In the dream, there was like a chain link sort of fence sort of thing. Not exactly that, but like a sliding, like full of bars. I don't want to. It was basically like it was locked up. Like they locked up the pick-a-brick area, and so I was like, please, and they're like, okay, and they unlocked it, and they slid it open, and I was like, oh great, awesome, and then remarkably, after trying to be nice to them, in the pick-a-brick area, I saw something I didn't see before, which was a lot of Lego leaves, right? A lot of leaves, and that was awesome, of different types. Like there were autumn, fall leaves, and there were some spring-looking leaves. It was wonderful. They were like orange, different colors of orange. It was absolutely, it was beautiful. And what's funny about that is leaves are very important to Spiderwick. Important, quote unquote. That it's like there's a lot of leaves in Spiderwick. I wonder if there's. That's not. There you go. There's some more leaves. Those are silver leaves, though. So I was like, I'm going to use these pieces on my Lego house that I'm making from Spiderwick, and that's going to be perfect. And then the girl who was opening it, the person who was working at the Lego store, who was annoyed at me, was now suddenly like, oh my god, I love Spiderwick. And I was like, what? Because, Spiderwick is kind of, I don't know if anybody really knows about it. In, like, the early 2000s, maybe people knew about it, but at this point in time, like, they're making a new show on Disney, I believe, about it. But I don't know, I didn't hear anybody talk about it. Like, I don't think anybody knows anything about it. But it was crazy. It was crazy to hear that this person knew something about it. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And I was talking to her, and I was like, and she was like, oh, I actually mostly know the leaves from the Wii game. And I was like, bro. And at this point, I was like, what the hell's going on? Nobody knows anything about Spiderwick, and nobody knows anything about the Wii game, right? Like, that's something only I kind of experienced with my brothers. I'm always wanting to play the Wii game, but they're like, no, we don't want to play the game. It's like terrible game. There's nothing good about it. Although in the game you can play as a little brownie character. It's like a person, tiny person who goes in walls, and you can run in the walls, and it's fun. It gives me experience for how it feels like to, be in your walls, which I am. Anyway, ha ha ha. Anyway, I was talking to her about the Wii game, and I was like, that's crazy, bro. Yeah, no, I started building the house based on the movie. This was what I was saying to her. And then, at a certain point, I was like, well, I can't, there's not much, stuff in the movie to actually get information about. Like to know where the walls are at and where, like, the house looks and everything like that, and the interior. So I looked in the Wii game where there's, like, a one-to-one sort of, you can play inside the house, so you can kind of go wherever you want. And she was like, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. And at this point, we were kind of getting friendly with each other, and it was nice. And so I was filling up the bucket with the different leaves, and I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to build it, and it's going to be awesome. And it was amazing, bro, because it wasn't just leaves. It was also, like, little tiny mini tree pieces that you can use. And they looked exactly like the ones in the game. It was crazy. I was like, oh, my God, this is crazy. And it was awesome. And so... and then we started, and then we made out, and then we had kids. No, that's not what happened. But the point that I learned, like, right after I woke up, which happened, like, right after that bit of the dream, was, bro, if you just try to mend your relationships, right? You could be resentful, you could get angry, you could get upset, frustrated with other people because they're frustrated, and it's fair, because 9 times out of 10, I'd imagine the real things that frustrate you, that frustrate me, are not actually me exactly. It's me getting frustrated at other people's frustration. Me getting upset, being like, well, you shouldn't be upset, or like, well, you shouldn't, like, you shouldn't think that way. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you upset at me? And now I'm upset. it's like, sure, it feels more right. It feels like it's like seductive almost. It feels more like you should be able to be upset now. Because it's not you that's upset, it's them that's upset, and it's like, why are you upset? It's like, if you weren't upset, nobody would be upset, right? It's so easy to get into that mind space, that sort of mentality. But at the end of the day, you're upset, which is bad for you because you feel bad, and it's bad for other people because now they are angry you're at you, right? Whereas if you extend the olive branch, so to speak, I don't know if anybody actually says that nowadays, but if you do, then, and you're like, okay, you're upset. Why are you upset? And generally, you don't even have to ask them. You can just kind of ask yourself. It. Religious people would say it's like a prayer. Like, just pray to yourself. Be like, okay, why is this person upset? And what's so awesome about prayer is that you can do it. Really, the idea of it that I've kind of tried to understand for why religious people do it is it's basically just asking yourself very deeply and letting like your subconscious answer it, because you can get into the mind space where you're like, oh, I don't know the answer to this. But it's like, if you quote unquote pray, which is like really really ask yourself, like, what is going on here? Like, do I know secretly, and am I just hiding it from myself? Can I actually, like, if I'm honest, can I try to answer the question, what is this thing? Then your brain will basically be like, yeah, you basically knew the answer already. You're just hiding it from yourself, and then it gives it to you, and that's kind of praying in a sense to what I understand, and it actually does work. It's kind of crazy. There's other forms of prayer that can be helpful, like saying, okay, like, Lord, give me strength, like before you're gonna do a workout or something. And if you really ask, if you're genuine, you're like, please, I actually want to get to this rep range, then you'll do it. As opposed to if you just kind of do it mindlessly, you're like, oh, it's too hard, and then you give up. Whereas if you're like, please, I actually really need this, then you'll be like, okay, yeah, it's awesome. But anyway, that's a side tangent to a bit. Generally, you don't even have to be as annoying as going up to them and being like, why are you upset? Like, you don't even have to. You can basically just be like, okay, why are they upset? Like, think to yourself. And you'll probably find a reason. Sometimes you won't. And in that case, maybe you can ask them. But if they're too upset to answer, then maybe you're going to be like, okay, well, what will make it better? Even if you don't even know why they're upset. And you'll probably find an answer as well. Make them dinner, make them breakfast. Clean their shoes. I don't know, something like that that'll make them happier. And that's kind of the idea. You don't want to come at them being like, well, you gotta fix this, basically, because that's basically what you're asking. You're like, okay, why are you upset, and how can I fix it? Now, maybe in a marriage or something like that, then you want to find a person who will be able to answer those questions. But maybe day to day, if you're living with roommates or something like that, then you can try this out. Ask yourself. You can say, pray to yourself. Like, pray to yourself. Don't pray to yourself. Pray, like, okay, why is this person upset? And if you can't answer that, which you probably will, then, okay, what can I do to make this person happy? And then if you can do that, even when you're upset at them, if you can do that, then generally they'll end up kind of being like, well, thank you. Now I'm not upset at you as much, and now we can be friends. And then you'll have a wonderful experience, like I did in my dream. If you just kind of try to mend that relationship, even if it might be convenient to you, like if it's like, okay, well, I can get out of here, but can I get Legos first, right? Like, there's nothing in that where you lose, except maybe you don't get to allow your resentment to taint your actions. But yeah, maybe I could go on and on in circles. But that's the idea. If you fix your relationships, then even with strangers, then they'll end up liking you. I guess another bit of this happened to me before. I was in a comment section of a Instagram post, I think. I don't exactly know what it was about. But it was about movies, I think. And I was arguing with somebody about movies, I think. They were like, you don't know anything about movies. And I was like, you don't know anything about movies. And that went on for a few comments. It was the kind of stuff that, like, you shouldn't really be doing. You shouldn't really be arguing on something like that. But at a certain point, I was like, this has gotten a little bit too hostile. And so I DM'd them. I stopped in the comment section, so I DM'd them, and I was like, "Man, I'm sorry. Um, there's no need for the negativity. I maybe disagree with you in certain aspects, but you know, I'm interested to hear your point." And I was just like that, and the person was unbearably kind. After that, they were like, "Thank you. Most people don't do that." They're like, "Most people don't reach out in that way," and so thank you for that. And you know, this is kind of my general rundown of my viewpoints. And I was like, interesting, okay. And you know, we even connected. It was something maybe even about music, and we were talking about music at some point, and then we both started talking about leitmotifs, which is like a type of music in movies and other things. I could get into it, but I'm not going to. And basically, we brought up the YouTube channel Sideways, which is about music, and it's like we were like, yeah, you watch Sideways, and he was like, yeah, I watch Sideways, because if you're talking about music and movies, and you're like in this generation, and you're talking about that, generally you probably just got your ideas from Sideways. And so we kind of bonded over that, and that was kind of funny. And then we were like, hey, I hope you end up doing well, and I was like, yeah, I hope you end up doing well. He was like, you know, I hope you make movies, and I was like, I hope you do whatever you want to do. I don't remember what he was wanting to do, but something like that. It was just very nice. It was very nice, and you know, we sort of stayed in contact. We didn't end up responding, but I said, like, I'll stay in contact if something comes up, which if it does up, maybe I'll go talk to him. So just, you know, I guess it's the idea of turn the other cheek, right? Like, you don't want to, and a lot of those sort of sayings can end up sounding just weird and barbaric. Like, what if I'm being abused? Like, let myself be abused more? But in a way, yeah. I mean, no, but yeah, you know, it's that sort of weird thing where it's like, you know, it's to make a point almost. It's like, yeah, if somebody's trying to kill you, maybe don't get killed, although maybe do. Who was it? Who made the Apologia? Was that it was a philosopher I'm thinking of in Roman times, Greek times, something like that. I think he lived in Athens. I'm not entirely sure about that. It was one of those famous philosophers who he did this. He was like in like a painting or something, and so what happened to him is that he was talking to the youth, and the youth were like having their minds opened and like, wow, this is interesting, like learning philosophy basically to children, you know, young men, young women maybe, and their parents were like, what are these kids learning? Very classic moment. And so they found this guy, this philosopher, guilty, or not guilty. They found him. They were going to try him. They were going to put him into court and try him for whatever, corrupting the youth, something like that. And they were basically going to kill him probably if he was found guilty, which he probably was going to be found guilty. And so they made a notice to him, like, by the way, we're going to try you for this thing, and we're probably going to kill you. And so prepare yourself with, like, you know, some amount of weeks to prepare or days to prepare, something like that. And basically, this is some tactic that they used, that often the idea was, okay, you probably don't want to die, so you're probably going to leave. And at that point, it's basically just like exile. It's like kind of like a secret exile. It's like, we're going to probably kill you, so you can get out of here now. And so that's kind of the standard way of it was done. And so the idea was, okay, he gets the notice, he's probably going to plan with some of his loyal compatriots, followers, the youth that he's corrupted. He's planning with them, okay, we're probably going to get out of here, right? But then he ended up having this thought in the back of his head, like, no. Because this guy's kind of old, this philosopher, he's pretty old. And they didn't live that long back then. And so he was going to die anyway, soon enough. And he was like, maybe I should just die. And so he was like that, and he said, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go in front of the court, I'm going to make my case, and they're probably going to kill me, and then when they do, boom. And there's this famous painting of him where he's like taking because they poisoned, that's how they killed you. They give you like a poison water or something like that. And so he was getting his water, and there's this famous painting of all of his followers being like, no, please don't do that, please don't kill yourself. And he's like, what am I gonna do? I kill myself? I legally have to. And so this is that famous painting. And then he wrote an apologia, which is like a paper of like why he does what he did, everything like that. And he's a very, very famous guy, and that sort of instance of him killing himself, not, you know, taking the poisonous drink from the people who are like, okay, we tried you and you're guilty. It's become like a romantic sort of, almost like semi-religious moment in history. That people come back to as like, that was a pretty cool decision for him to do that. Like, stand his ground, stand up for what he believed in, and turn the other cheek, I guess. And that's a very like dramatic example, but when you turn the other cheek, when you're like, okay, I am vulnerable, yeah. You know, people are being like, oh, you're gonna like, oh, like, you know, they're attacking you basically. And if you're just like, yeah, I am vulnerable actually, then generally people are kind of caught off guard. They're like, damn, he is pretty vulnerable. And then it suddenly becomes weirder for them to be attacking you, I guess. Whereas if you're like, I'm good, I'm not vulnerable, I'm invulnerable, you're stupid and I hate you and what you're doing is wrong and I don't like you and you can keep doing whatever you're doing and I don't really care. And it's like, this guy sucks, let's kill him. That's kind of the feeling people get, you know? There's this idea that actually happened with Donald Trump, where like if Donald Trump was a little bit more vulnerable, if he was less like, I'm the big, you know, boss man, if he was like, you know, my feelings are hurt, yeah, people would be a little bit more empathetic to him. I mean, a lot of people will still be like, well, who cares? And a lot of people are just mean, right? But, you know, maybe the group who's just not mean exactly, but just kind of annoyed by him. He was the president. He did have a lot of power. So kind of annoyed maybe is a little bit not the right terminology. But, you know, when you make yourself vulnerable in that way, people generally are kind, I think. Generally. Now there's situations in which people can kind of be made evil, more evil than kind. But generally people are kind. So if you try to do that, if you send the branch, then... and you're like, yeah, I'm vulnerable. Can I help you? Like, is there something I can do to be nice? Like, to make it right with the world? Like, what can I do? And yes, I am vulnerable. And yes, you can just attack me and you exert your power over me. But, like, I want to help you. Like, people are just like, okay, let's do that. Let's do the better way. That generally puts down their defenses and then the result, like, from my dream is I get to get Legos, which is, like, awesome. You get toys at the end. So, I guess that's where I'll end it. Yeah, this has been very interesting. I literally did just wake up from the dream, and I was like, this seems like a video. So, hopefully it was good enough. Or not, who cares? I guess put it into practice is the next step.